faces, see your beautiful faces. Welcome to Black Authors Only. You made it on this Thursday evening, this February 29th, the extra day that we received this year. You are spending it with the Dinner Party NYC, and as the owner of Dinner Party NYC, I just want to say thank you before we start. Thank you so much for being in the room with us. My name is Evelyn Jean-Francois. I am the co-founder and owner of the Dinner Party NYC. Welcome to Black Authors Only. Just had to get it out the way. I wanted to start off by introducing who we are as the Dinner Party NYC. A lot of folks have a few questions, and I just figured I'd get my elevator pitch out the way, and then we get to the real good, heartfelt, relational, conversational, all the ationals together. So the Dinner Party NYC, our mission is to strengthen and accelerate relationships, specifically in the lives of Black entrepreneurs, community collectives, and organizations. What that means is a lot of us might struggle with getting to know each other. A lot of us might struggle with talking about what we need. And at the Dinner Party NYC, our mission is for you to come new and leave known. This is not for you to say that you came to a thing and went home. No, I need you to come in here and meet some folks that you never met before, smile in some faces, shake some hands, maybe get some Instagrams, maybe get some emails, and follow up in the morning. That's the goal of the Dinner Party NYC. If you're not familiar with some of the programs that we do, I'm going to slow down. If you're not familiar with some of our programming, the Dinner Party, we do have a dining experience that the city does love, but on top of our dining experiences, we offer summer internships. So if you are a small business owner, or if you do have a community collective, or if you have a nonprofit organization and you need help during the summertime, we bring in young people and we get them paid through SYEP, bless God. We love young people getting money. So that's some of the programming that we offer, and as well as our monthly professional development courses. So we all need help in something. So whether or not you need help with business credit or taxes or digital marketing or, well, there's been so many, but if you need help, we've been offering these virtual and in-person courses every month for everyone who needs it. And last but not least, we also offer programming like Black Authors Only. Black Authors Only is a derivative of last year's Black Authors Only, where we invited Black entrepreneurs to sell books. All of our Black merchants who sold books, we invited for them to buy out for all the books for their families. We invited some bestsellers to come talk about their experiences. Great things that I've told y'all individually, but I have to say it out loud because we're streaming live. So I'm glad that y'all heard me a second time, but the Dinner Party NYC is just glad that you guys came out here to hear the voices of everybody in the room, right? Some of you guys are listeners, some of you guys are speakers, but we're all here to get to know just what means something to all of us. So I'm just glad that we can spend this time together. And we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm sorry, I'm a minister, so I always be ending things with amen. But if that's in your spirit to respond, amen, feel free to do so. But I'm going to be first up, and next up will be Patrice Barnes. All right. Yeah, turn it up. I can't say that I'm nervous, but I want to impress y'all, you know? I got the soundtrack. Lord. Okay. All right. I will be reading the first that you'll be hearing from tonight. I'll be reading In Search of Our Mother's Gardens by Alice Walker. In Search of Our Mother's Gardens by Alice Walker is a womanist prose. So if anyone is not familiar with womanism, womanism is to feminism as purple is to lavender, meaning while the feminists might cater to the white women's, womanism caters to Black women's, our needs, and it puts us at the forefront using academics and using faith-based ideologies. And Alice Walker is the mind behind womanism. If you Google it, she has all 4 definitions listed here in this book. And there's also a few other scholars such as Katie Judy Buchanan, as well as others that you can look into about womanism. I will be reading from an essay. Don't judge me, I have my mental trap as my bookmark. It worked. I'll be reading from the essay titled In Search of Our Mother's Gardens. And I wanted to open this up because today is the last day of Black History Month, and tomorrow is the first day of Black Women's History Month. So I find it very, very appropriate to read from the following. And if I'm going too fast, tell me to slow down. Like just, if anybody's going too fast, feel free to just let us know to slow down, because I heard that I might go a little fast. So encourage the folks up here, because you never know how they might be feeling, okay? Okay. What did it mean for a Black woman to be an artist in our grandmother's time, in our grandmother's day? It is a question with an answer cruel enough to stop the blood. Did you have a genius of a great-great-grandmother who died under some ignorant or depraved white overseer's lash? Or was she required to take biscuits, make this biscuits, for a lazy backwater tramp when she cried out in her soul to paint watercolors of sunsets, or the rain falling on the green and peaceful pasture lands? Or was her body broken and forced to bear children who were more often than not sold away from her, 8, 10, 15, 20 children, when her one joy was the thought of modeling heroic figures of rebellion in stone or clay? How was the creativity of the Black woman kept alive, year after year and century after century, when for the most of the years Black people have been in America, it was a punishable crime for a Black person to read or write, and the freedom to paint, to sculpt, to expand the mind with action did not exist. Consider, if you can bear to imagine it, what might have been the result if singing too had been forbidden by law. Listen to the voices of Bessie Smith, Billie Holiday, Nina Simone, Roberta Flack, and Aretha Franklin, among others. And imagine those voices muzzled for life. Then you may begin to comprehend the lives of our crazy, sainted mothers and grandmothers, the agony of the lives of women who might have been poets, novelists, essayists, and short story writers over a period of centuries, who died with their real gifts stifled within them. And if this were the end of their story, we would have cause to cry out in my paraphrase of Occult Detek's great poem. O my clanswoman, let us all cry together. Come, let us mourn the death of our mother, the death of a queen, the ash that was produced by a great fire. Oh, this homestead is utterly dead. Close the gates with Lakari thorns for our mother. The creator of the stool is lost, and all the young women have perished in the wilderness. But this is not the end of the story. For all the young women, our mothers and grandmothers, ourselves, have not perished in the wilderness. And if we ask ourselves why, and in search and find the answer, we will know beyond all efforts to erase it from our minds just exactly who and of what we Black American women are. One example, perhaps, the most pathetic, the most understood one, can provide a backdrop for our mother's work. Phyllis Wheatley, a slave in the 1700s. Virginia Woolf, in her book, A Room for One's Own, wrote that in order for a woman to write fiction, she must have two things, certainly: a room of her own with a key and lock, and enough money to support herself. What then are we to make of Phyllis Wheatley, a slave who owned not even herself? This sickly, frail Black girl who required a servant of her own at times. Her health was so precarious, and who, had she been white, would have been easily considered the intellectual superior of all the women and most of the men in the society of her day. Virginia Woolf wrote further, speaking of course not of Phyllis, that any woman born with a great gift in the 16th century, insert 18th century, insert Black woman, insert born a slave, would certainly have gone crazed, shot herself, or ended her days in some lonely cottage outside the village, half witch, half wizard, insert saint, feared and mocked at. For it needs little skill in psychology to be sure that a highly gifted girl who had tried to use her gift for poetry would have been so thwarted and hindered by contrary instincts, insert chains, guns, the lash, the ownership of one's body by someone else, submission to an alien religion, that she must have lost her health and sanity to a certainty. The key words as they relate to Phyllis are contrary instincts. For when we read the poetry of Phyllis Wheatley, as when we read the novels of Nella Larson, or the oddly false-sounding autobiography of the freest of all Black women, Zora Hurston, evidence of contrary instincts is everywhere. Her loyalties were completely divided, as was, without question, her mind. But how could this be otherwise? Captured at 7, a slave of wealthy, doting whites who instilled in her the savagery of the Africa they rescued her from, one wonders if she was able to even remember her homeland as she had known it, or as it really was. Yet, because she did try to use her gift for poetry in a world that made her a slave, she was so thwarted and hindered by her contrary instincts that she lost her health. In the last years of her brief life, burdened not only with the need to express her her gift, but also with a penniless, friendless freedom and several small children for whom she was forced to do strenuous work to feed, she lost her health, certainly. Suffering from malnutrition and neglect and who knows what mental agonies, Phyllis Wheatley perished. So torn by contrary instincts was Black, kidnapped, enslaved Phyllis that her description of the goddess, as she poetically called the liberty she did not have, is ironically, cruelly humorous, and in fact has held Phyllis to ridicule for more than a century. It is usually read prior to hanging Phyllis's memory as that of a fool when she wrote, "The goddess comes, she moves divinely fair, olive and laurel binds in her golden hair. Wherever shines this native of the skies, unnumbered charms and recent graces rise." It's obvious that Phyllis, this slave, combed the goddess's hair every morning, prior perhaps to bringing in the milk or fixing her mistress's lunch. She took her imagery from the one thing she saw and elevated it above all others. With the benefit of hindsight, we ask, how could she? But at last, Phyllis, we understand. No more snickering when your stiff, struggling, ambivalent lines are forced on us. I'm going to say that again, sorry. But at last, Phyllis, we understand. No more snickering when your stiff, struggling, ambivalent lines are forced on us. We know now that you are not an idiot or a traitor, only a sickly little Black girl, snatched from your home and country and made a slave. A woman who still struggled to sing the song that was your gift, although in a land of barbarians who praised you for your bewildered tongue. It is not so much what you sang as that kept you alive. In so many of our ancestors, it was the notion of song. Black women are called in the folklore that so aptly identifies one's status in society. We are called the mule of the word because we have been handed the burdens that everyone else refused to carry. We have been called the matriarchs, superwomen, and mean and evil bitches, not to mention castrators and Sapphire's mama. When we have pleaded for understanding, our character has been distorted. When we have asked for simple caring, we have been handed empty inspirational appellations, then stuck in the furthest corner. When we have asked for love, we have been given children. In short, even our plainer gifts, our labors of fidelity and love have been knocked down our throats. To be an artist and a Black woman, even today, lowers our status in many respects, rather than raises it, and yet artists we will be. Therefore, we must fearlessly pull out of ourselves and look at and identify with our lives the living creativity some of our great-grandmothers were not allowed to know. I stress some of them because it is well known that the majority of our great-grandmothers knew, even without knowing it, the reality of their spirituality, even if they didn't recognize it beyond what happened in the singing at church, and they never had any intention of giving it up. How they did it, those millions of Black women who were not Phyllis Wheatley or Lucy Terry or Frances Harper or Zora Hurston or Nella Larson or Bessie Smith or Elizabeth Catlett or Katherine Dunham either, brings me to the title of this essay, In Search of Our Mother's Gardens, which is a personal account that is shared in this theme and its meaning by all of us. I found, while thinking about the far-reaching world of the creative Black woman, that often the truest answer to a question that really matters can be found very close. Thanks for listening to my Black author, y'all. All right. Got a little deep there, but Black women are the work. Amen. Next up, we have Patrice N. Barnes. Give it up for Patrice.
That was a perfect segue for my pieces because trying to figure out which I'm just going to go into them, but I will say that they are all strung together by the common theme of moving from survival to thriving. And so thinking about the Black woman and the many shapes she has filled throughout the time, the totality of time. And there has been so much strength, so much prayer, so much resilience. And so this piece talks about that from variants of perspectives. So I'll be doing 3 pieces from some classic Black writers that we all know and love. So the first piece is A Litany for Survival, and this is by Audre Lorde. For those of us who live at the shoreline, standing upon the constant edges of decision, crucial and alone. For those of us who cannot indulge the passing dreams of choice, who love in doorways coming and going, in the hours between dawns, looking inward and outward, at once before and after, seeking a now that can breed futures. Like bread in our children's mouths, so their dreams will not reflect the death in ours. For those of us who were imprinted with fear, like a faint line in the center of our foreheads, learning to be afraid with our mother's milk. For by this weapon, this illusion of some safety to be found, the heavy-footed hope to silence us. For all of us, this instant and this triumph, we were never meant to survive. And when the sun rises, we are afraid it will not remain. When the sun sets, we are afraid it might not rise in the morning. And when our stomachs are full, we are afraid of indigestion. When our stomachs are empty, we are afraid we may never eat again. And when we are loved, we are afraid love will vanish. When we are alone, we are afraid love will never return. And when we speak, we are afraid our words will not be heard nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So, it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive.
Yes.
That was the first piece. Okay. This second piece is on the rise. Anybody who has gone through an ascension or healing journey, you want to shout it to the mountaintops. We think about that Mahalia Jackson song, How I Got Over It. Okay, anybody know about that? Okay, so this piece is called Won't You Celebrate With Me? And this is written by Lucille Clifton. Okay, holla if you hear me. Won't you celebrate with me what I have shaped into? A kind of life I had no model. Born in Babylon, both non-white and woman. What did I see to be except myself? I made it up. Here on this bridge between starshine and clay, my one hand holding tight my other hand, come celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and enough, honey. You all that and then some. This is Phenomenal Woman, written by Maya Angelou.
Yes.
Pretty women wonder where my secret lies.
Where is that?
I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size, but when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say it's in the reach of my arms,
Yes.
the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me. I walk into a room just as cool as you please, and to a man the fellows stand or fall down to their knees, and then they swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say, it's in the fire of my eyes, the flash of my teeth, the swing in my waist, and the joy in my feet. I'm a woman, phenomenally. I lost my place. I got caught up. Phenomenal woman, that's me. Men themselves have wondered just what they see in me. They try so much, but they cannot touch my inner mystery. And when I try to show them, they say they still can't see. I say it's in the arch of my back, the sun of my smile, the ride of my breast, and the grace of my style. I am a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me. And now you understand just why my head's not bowed. I don't have to shout or jump about or have to talk real loud, because when you see me passing, it ought to make you proud, I say. It's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, and the need for my care, because I'm a woman. Phenomenal woman. That's me. Let me hear if you're a phenomenal woman.
I'm just glad that I'm in that number. I'm happy to be a woman myself. You make me happy. I mean, I love that poem, but you made that your own poem. So thank you so much, Patrice. Please clap it up for Patrice. Next up we have an original writer coming up. Make some noise for Belamini. Sorry, y'all. Belamini Cully. Come on, please. Correct me.
Hello. My name is Belamini Cully, and pop on me. All right. Thank you. As she stated, my book is No Peace. I had published it 4 years ago. I hand wrote the book in 2018. Yes, I still write. And it's a big accomplishment for me. The ending of Black History Month, entering Women's Month. This book is about 4 friends post-college, each going through their own experiences post-college. So don't mind me, I'm a little bit nervous. So I'm just going to go back to the first chapter.
Take your time.
Don't say take my time. And it's chapter 1, and also you can buy my book on Amazon. I also have my business card. I can hand it out after I read my chapter. Okay, chapter 1. Damn, not another one. That was what Zaria said as she began making dinner while watching the news. Being a single mother of a teenager was a lot of work, especially in a city where the violence was rampant. As Zaria prepared to cook dinner for her 16-year-old son Tariq, she began to get scared. What if that was Tariq that got shot and they were trying to get in contact with his next of kin? thought Zaria. The city of Philadelphia had gotten worse over the years, and because Tariq loved to roam the streets with his friends, Zaria worried about her only son. "Mine's the food done?" screamed Tariq as he slammed the front door. Just as her heart settled, she got on her son. "Boy, don't you know how to properly close a door? This is not a barn." As Tariq approached his mother, he flashed those puppy dog brown eyes of his directly at her. To add insult to injury, he pouted his lips. Tariq had been the light of Zaria's life since she discovered she was pregnant her freshman year of college. At that time, she was in love with Tariq's father, Ronnie, a mathematics major who was considered one of the best looking men on campus. After deciding to keep the baby and not have an abortion, Zaria made a promise to herself to always be there for her son and to work hard to make sure he wanted for nothing. After getting her bachelor's in education, Zaria went on to get her master's while raising Tariq. Ronnie and Zaria broke up when Tariq was 3 years old, but they had remained friends. Ronnie played a major role in his son's life physically, emotionally, and financially. "How was your day, son?" Zaria asked. "It was cool. Ditched a few classes," joked Tariq. "Reek!" Zaria shrieked. "Just kidding, Mom. I spoke to Mr. Willis about college," Tariq said after his mother calmed him down. Zaria and Mr. Willis were both pinnacles in the Philadelphia education system. After knowing each other for years, Zaria thought she had Mr. Willis. Brennan was his first name, but Zaria just loved to call him Mr. Willis. Were a match made in heaven. Mr. Willis stood 6'9" and had a muscular build. He had pretty light brown eyes. Zaria could not get over how fine this man was, and he did not have any children. It was a plus for her. But after...
Can I say that here, even with all adults?
Say what?
Okay.
Say what you gotta say.
Okay.
But after lame oral sex and 2 seconds of missionary sex, Zaria decided it was best for them to remain friends. We're adults here. Just two. "What did Mr. Willis tell you?" asked Zaria. "He said that it is time for me to start looking into schools and to think about what I want to be in life," answered Tariq. "Well, he is," reasoned her chicken. "Have you decided what you want to be?" While looking at his phone, Tariq looked up and said quick as a flash, "A doctor." That was music to Zaria's ears. She always feared that her son would fall into the typical category of every minority teenager wanting to either be good in sports or try a rap career, especially since Tariq's best friend Don was attempting both. "Are you serious, son?" said Zaria. "Of course, Mom," said Tariq, especially with my GPA, and you know how I love to help people." Zaria became filled with glee. The news of her son actually having an honest career almost gave her a heart attack. "Well, we have to start looking into school," said Zaria, "especially my alma mater." While playing around with his phone, Tariq answered his mother with a surprise in his voice. "That's funny." Mr. Willis said something similar, but he said, "With my grades and SAT scores, I shouldn't be looking at HBCU." That bastard, thought Zaria, like he's going to help me pay for Reek's education. Everyone knows that when the offspring of an alumna attends their university, they get a discount. Which is why I always think about that too. "Well, talk to your father, Zaria." I did, Tariq revealed. "He actually wants to talk to you now." "He wants to talk to me?" said a surprised Zaria. Zaria and Ronnie hardly talked unless it involved Tariq. So for him to want to speak to her now seemed suspicious. As Tariq handed her his phone, Zaria prepared herself mentally. "Hello," said Zaria, sounding nervous. "Hello, Zaria. How are you?" asked Ronnie. Even though they had not been together in a while, just the sound of Ronnie's voice still made her panties wet. "I'm fine. What do you want?" Zaria said cautiously. "I want to ask you something." As Ronnie spoke, Zaria's eyes widened and she started to shake. "Mom, what's wrong?" asked the nervous Tariq. "You're burning the chicken."
up. And if you're we encourage you to capture all your favorite moments. If you are sharing it, don't forget to tag the Dinner Party NYC, please, at the Dinner Party NYC on Instagram or whatever have you. Next up, we have Charlotte Crabb, and following Charlotte, we will have Alandria. Clap it up.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm going to lower this,
Let me help
and I'm actually just going to sit down.
Okay.
Because that's where my seat is. Yes, that's support. I'll be looking for support in a few
you.
months.
You said what? How black?
Intricately wrapped with each fold,
Wait, did you tell us what you're reading?
Oh, what I'm reading, okay, so, first let me say I'm super nervous, and, I'm just reading something that I wrote. I was like, Black history, what's my history being Black? So I grew up in Texas, in a suburb of Dallas called Grand Prairie. And I just share a little bit about what that was like. My parents immigrated to the States from Ghana in the 70s. And so, yeah, I think it was just an interesting experience growing up. So this is my Black history, but the name of the piece is called Manya, which means Queen Mother in the God language. So, all right. Intricately wrapped with each fold holding history of generations past. For weeks I had begged my mother to teach me how to do it for myself. And I couldn't wait to lose the shorts and the shirts and the twig-like braided hair to be adorned in royalty. The wrap went with this navy blue and white print A-line dress. And I remember the day that I put it on to take pictures in the backyard. My head was wrapped with a matching garment, and it was tied, tucked, and tailored. It was my crown, and I wore it proudly. I would grin from ear to ear with coffee skin glistening out the Texas sun, and confidence was an understatement. The shorts and shirts became more of my speed as I set into my formative years. And my childhood was marked by homework with stains of last night's jollof, shuttling from soccer games to another soccer game, and dodging this growing fear of really being one of the only African students in my school. I knew how they had taunted one of the students, and I couldn't bear experiencing the same. You see, the other kid, James, had these thick glasses. He always wore these starched shirts and starched pants, and his last name had 4 syllables. No one could ever pronounce them right on the first try. And so when the kids with cocoa skin and those with ivory wove their words together, they stitched shame on his heart and mine. And I knew that his tears could not become mine. So I learned. I learned how to hide behind a surname that didn't sound African. My dress, once thought of as royalty, now felt like a period piece that was left in a time that was so much simpler. So I found my solace in my first love of running. And as my 7th grade season started, we shopped for workout clothes that matched my budding talent. And when I saw them, I knew I needed the complete color palette set. These shorts made me feel vibrant, like I could clear any hurdle or run down any girl in lanes before me and just leave the rest of the field in the dust. So they were a set of shorts that were neon green, neon yellow, and neon pink. And I proudly put them on when I got dressed in the locker room. I would walk out between the gravel-covered courts and between the girls' gym and the guys' gym and head to the track. And after a few weeks, I began to notice Anson Thomas and a group of girls sitting on the steps outside of the boys' gym. And as I passed by them, I noticed that these vibrant colored shorts against my sun-kissed skin were met by taunts that I had tried to avoid for a long time. With each day, those words, logged by an array of different complexions of melanated kids, hit deep. And the words began to be accompanied by rocks from the gravel. My walk became a run, and I would dread the part of going to something that I loved so much. And it wasn't until this girl with blue-eye contacts and a hard swoop and a waterfall ponytail named Coco, whose complexion was her namesake, asked me, "Why do you wear those shorts?" that I never wore again. My esteem will go on to be formed by the things that I excelled in: track, academics, and leadership. And I took cues from those around me, adjusting my confidence to their affirmation. I walked this double consciousness of being African and American and being African American. Despite those experiences, as I got older, I became more confident in who I was and my version of being Black. I was spicy jollof and slow-cooked smoked beef brisket Black. I was freshly fried Killer Willie with plantain at every holiday and sour apple and red flavor snow cones on Juneteenth Black. I was ice cold Malta and 2 many cups of sugar and a sweet tea Black. I was red snapper and fried crunchy chicken Black. I was high life swaying as the elders would party at parties that, I'm gonna start that over. I was high life melodically playing as the elders swayed as party started 4 hours too late. And UGK bumping in the hot summer nights Black. And I was Camry driving till the wheels fell off because every Ghanaian had a Camry. And candy coated vintage cars with spinners and subwoofers Black. This was me, this was my Black. Now it's 2016, now around 2016 when the country wrestled with injustice, I grew weary of what the reality was of what it meant to have Black skin in America. And during that time I met Miss Betty. Her sandals dragged as she walked, her head was adorned with a wrap, and she wore a t-shirt with a fabric tied around her waist. And around her wrist was this makeshift cloth bracelet attached to a small pillow with pins that she would use to pin fabric for people who would come to try on their clothes. And so measurements had been sent to her earlier with the black and white fabric, as was customary for baby naming ceremonies. And she was making outfits for my brother, his wife, their newborn Elijah, and myself. We were preparing for a baby naming ceremony held by our elders, and there were magazines strewn across her coffee table, just like the Essence and the Ebony issues of the 90s. And so I tried on the dress that she had sewn for me, and the hips were tight with the traditional Ghanaian fit and flare style. And as I came out, she had the pride, the deep abiding joy of that auntie who had been cooking for days and sewing and stopped to marvel at her work. She said, "Manya." Those were the words that came out of her mouth. "Hey, Manya." And I didn't know what that meant, but in her eyes I saw myself the way I had as a child, with that baby dress, with that head wrap, and with the carefree confidence before my culture and complexion were met with shame. Manya, she said, was Queen Mother in our God language. In our God language, pre-colonial days, chiefs were manchas, Queen Mothers were manyas, and they ruled and gave leadership to our people. She, Miss Betty, called me Manya. She reminded me that I was royalty. Rest in peace, Miss Betty.
And I hope Coco with the swoop. I hope she's doing all right. You know, you read some things and you just don't. Yeah, Lord. I have beef with like fictional villains. So imagine real life people. The Lord not told me. But like I said, next up, y'all, is Alandria. Make some noise for Alandria.
So my piece is called Moni, an ode to Black friendship. I find so much joy in the love that we share. Year after year, Black love is platonic shockwaves to the soul and the heart. My friends have gladly taken part. and all that encompasses me, all that embodies and defines me. They are my persons, the first two letters, the head captains on this journey. And I'm fortunate that they'll go anywhere that I'll go. Whether I'm drunk off the reposado and then turn into Tony Soprano. They get me. Or telling me the truth, like, you know you don't like that man, stop the cab. Or when my mother calls for the search and rescue party, Mo, check your map. Devon Beach. This love is thicker than blood, thicker than water. At this point, I owe y'all a goddaughter. But thank you both for every day, for never sharing the silence because we always got so much to say. You know we're gonna talk shit. It hit. And when I was sick with the vid, you didn't hesitate, Nick, for constantly holding space and for continuously giving grace. This is the real Black love, and it's deep. So deep that I'm willing to fly to London or Ethiopia or to the moon and help plan the best birthdays for my godson in June. Thank you, Mom. You two have taken up real estate in my heart, in my head. And even after all that I've said, there's still more. Covering it over for the realest ones on my team, the protagonists and antagonists of many of my dreams. I don't like to share, but I'm willing to go half on gifts, on trips. It's my birthday, we drinking champagne and y'all get the last sip. Y'all are the definition of soulmates, where the love laughs, arguments about not enough donuts are endless. Always with the wreck, say less. See, it was fate. I just pray for the ability for sustainability. So I want to toast to the ones I love to roast, to the ones I love the most. This is Black love, Black friendship. Love you, Mom. And my mute is over there. Can you stand up? No, stand up.
Love that. That was so beautiful. If anybody knows about loving their friends, it's definitely me. So that it wasn't about me, but I still felt that my cheeks hurt. I'm blushing for no reason. Shout out to Mo and Nick, the friends who are supporting Alandria. That was so beautiful. I know what it's like to sit still for a little bit and have to be quiet. So we're just gonna allow 5 minutes for you to get a drink, use the bathroom, make a phone call, say hi to whoever's sitting next to you, and then we're gonna restart in 5 minutes. So it is 9:20, so at 9:25 we will reconvene, starting with Clementina. All right? Y'all got the wiggles out and the giggles out. We are ready to jump back into our program. I hope you guys, hey, can I hear a volume check? Like, how are you feeling? How are you liking the event? How are you enjoying it? Music to my ears. I love to hear it, love to hear it. Before we move any further, I have to give a shout out to the hosts, the host of the beautiful space, the house. There we go, the house host, Fête de Fleur. Fête de Fleur is the event space that you are seated in right now. It is Black co-women owned. 2 Black women who came together and put up this beautiful space together. There is an outdoor area that we have all types of stuff, indoors, outdoors. You see the decor. When you book with them, you also get catering services. You also get the decor covered. Like, it's a one-stop shop over here. And they reached out to the Dinner Party NYC and they opened their doors to us. So please, if you are hosting anything, definitely put this on your list first when you're shopping around. Like, once you walk in here, your search is over. So shout out to Fête de Fleur. If you want to connect with them, maybe you got a birthday, baby shower, graduation, baptism, party, brunch. You know, Black people don't really need a reason. So if you got anything, definitely Cindy Peters is right here in the back. But if you prefer to just connect online, you can follow them at Fête de Fleur, FETESDEFLEUR on Instagram, Fête de Fleur. Next up, Clementina with Original Work. Make some noise for Clementina. And coming up after is Christina Black.
Hello, everyone. All right. So, again, Clementina OG, and a bit of background about myself. I am Nigerian, and the piece that I'm going to be reading today actually works well, I think, with both the Black History piece and then Women's Homecoming in March. The story that I'm reading today, I wrote at the end of last year, and it's about a particular practice that happened in Nigeria, I think, circa 16th, 17th century. So it's a historical piece, and it is an excerpt of a story that I hope to use as like a prologue or an origin story for one day, hopefully, a novel. And it's essentially about a young girl, currently the story, a young girl who is in the midst of childbirth. And at this point in Nigeria, twins were looked at as like bad omens. So here's this girl in a foreign land about to give birth. She doesn't know what's going to happen. And we're going to dive into the story from there. All right. It's almost here, Mama explains in a voice gone crackly from half a century spent shouting admonitions at the tens of royal children she helped guide into this world. I have a good feeling about this, Taiwo. Big push now. Well, Taiwo's glad that someone has a good feeling about this birth. The only feeling she can muster is a calabash full of resentment at her own mother for not telling her a year ago when she sat her and her sister Yetunde down on the eve of their 16th birthday. And incidentally, Taiwo's wedding to the Obon Kai song, the Ibibio King, that this is what childbirth feels like. Even more frustrating is that Taiwo can't vent her anger because here she is in Ibibio land, while her offending mother and the rest of her family are probably frolicking in a chest full of cowries, rice, and other treasures they received as her dowry from the king. Feeling deceived, misused, and quite frankly put upon, Taiwo growls plaintively at Mamakwa in her own native Yoruba tongue. What type of rubbish is this indeed? Mamakwa tugs and presses her beak like a disapproving matron. Language. Taiwo's head sinks into her shoulders like a turtle retreating into its shell. Her voice more subdued, she asks, Mama, how much longer? As if in answer to her question, a new contraction seizes through her spine and clutches her stomach like a pugilist's fist. She groans, not sure how much more of this she can take, but there's nothing left to do. With all her might, Taiwo pushes and screams and pushes, until she feels a whoosh and sweet relief as the mewing cry of her child bursts forth from between her thighs. Mama gasps as she cradles the child within her sinewy wings of grandmotherly comfort. Abbassin Bom, she whispers reverently, calling out to the supreme Ibibio God. Namso, her village assistant, hurries over to look at the baby, and her gasp alarms Taiwo. Taiwo's shoulders go tense. Her stomach tightens, this time with knots of trepidation. Breathlessly, she questions, "What's wrong?" "I knew the king was onto something special when he brought her to the palace," Mamako says to Namso. Her eyes open to the little bundle of joy. "Mama, what do you mean?" Taiwo asks from her lap. After 20 years, 3 wives and 10 daughters, he's finally done it. He's got Abbassin Bom to lift his purse. Taiwo reaches out tired, trembling arms to the baby. "Is it a boy?" Mamako confirms with a wide grin, cradling closer the bloody newborn like a rare African malachite. Our Bongi Paison has finally birthed a song. In relief, Taiwo's shoulders fall like a popped Montgolfier gas balloon, and she smiles tremulously. "Olarum Mudugbe." "Language!" Mamako's voice flashes out like a cracked whip. Taiwo's too crampy, clammy, and uncomfortable to repost. Not that she would have anyway. She simply translates, "Thank God." Because all her sacrifices have finally borne fruit. His long-awaited heir. "Take that, Abbassin Bom," she thinks gleefully, then instinctively cowers back, darting a quick glance at the midwife, just in case she suddenly developed the ability to read minds. Taiwo certainly won't put it past the wily old woman. Still, if Mamako thinks Taiwo is going to give up talking to her God in his native tongue after he succeeded where the Ibibio God fit, well, the old bat has another thing coming. Taiwo's stomach twinges, but she ignores it and stretches out her still shaky arms. "Let me see him," she asks. But Mama Kwa and Namso have already turned to the wooden cot that has been handed down from the king's previous children. Such was the palace's despair that Taiwo birthing another girl was a foregone conclusion, and they made no other preparations. The crown prince to the throne, and we're putting him in a used cradle, Namso frets as she helps to wipe down the baby. "That's a worry for tomorrow. Now hurry, bring the water," Mamako says. "We need to prepare him for the Obongi Pipe song." Taiwo's arms remain outstretched and also ignored. Apparently, the long-awaited heir was too prepared for even his own mother. "I want to hold my son," she pleads, her voice threatening her barely contained discomfort. But it's like she's talking to thin air. Mama Kwa and Namso disregard her request, flitting around the cot, tending to the prince. "What a handsome boy he is," Namso breathes. "I can't wait to see the maiden's face when he learns about the birth of the prince," Mama Kwa cackles. So deep is their focus on him that they fail to see Taiwo's arms collapse and her smile crumble into a wince. They fail to realize that she's writhing on the mat like a dehydrated worm in the sun. "Mama, something is wrong," Taiwo whimpers. Namso watched his head. "You don't want to have to tell the king that you deformed his one and only son." "Mama, please, I don't feel," Taiwo tries again. The midwife barely spares a glance for Taiwo as she swaddles the boy in the requested damask cloth. She calls to Taiwo over her shoulder. "My dear, it's over now, just the remnants of childbirth." Having effectively dismissed Taiwo, she turns to Namso. "I'll finish getting him ready. Go to the palace. We must inform the Obongi Paison about his son." Namso races out of the hut to eagerly do her bidding. Taiwo groans again, this time too loud for Mama Kwa to ignore. She finally turns around, a frown etched on her face, and a stinging reproach perched at the tip of her tongue for Taiwo. But what she sees makes her freeze in horror, like a hinge-jawed echo masquerade has suddenly entered the birthing room. "It can't be," the midwife breathes in fear, and reflexively tosses the flittingly repaired boy onto the hand-me-down cot. Jarred by this undignified ejection from the warm cuddle, the prince roars his displeasure at the top of his tiny yet mighty lungs. In excruciating pain, Taiwo bellows in a bewailing crescendo that matches her son's. "Mama, help me." If the midwife answered her, Taiwo will never know, because just then, a convulsion strikes her like lightning. She bears down, pushing as hard as she can. Then a stubborn kitten cry erupts from between her legs, and the head of the second child squeezes out. Like a fire has been lit to her feet, Mama Kwa lurches forward, her knobby talons not too gentle as she helps to deliver the second baby, a twin.
Chicago, in Texas. And I got beat with the midwife. Because it's just like, why y'all not listening to Black women? Tygo said that she left Cuba. Like, listen, that was amazing writing. I was literally like tuned in, laughing, and glistening. Like, I was, oh my God. Next up, let me just double check. I don't wanna. All right, sorry. Next up, we have Christina Black, and followed by Christina is Ikoko. Clap it up for Christina.
Sure, let's see if this makes it work. Can y'all hear me okay? Yeah. All right, so my piece is a creative nonfiction piece that's based on a true story in my life. And I wrote it during a storytelling festival about villains. And all of us have had a villainous neighbor at some point, so I'm sure y'all gonna be like, I understand. I relate to the shit. All right. I love singing. As much as I enjoy breathing air, I sing when I drive, in the grocery aisle, and especially in the shower, because y'all know it's got amazing acoustics in there. Singing is a major way that I express myself. So on a sunny Sunday afternoon, 10 years ago, when I lived in the Story of Queens, that's exactly what I was doing. I was using the power of shower singing to unleash my neglected vocal cords for an open mic night by practicing a Lauryn Hill classic, which y'all know. Strumming my pain with his fingers one time, singing my life with his words 2 times. They got the copyright, so it's got I was practicing a Lauryn Hill classic because motherfuckers at open mic nights love a throwback like they love overpriced house whiskeys, which most of y'all probably do in this room, just fine. When I finished, I busted around my Astoria Queens studio practicing other songs. Now, when I moved into the building with my now ex-boyfriend, he warned me about the upstairs neighbor who required monk-like quiet at all times, which I quickly experienced firsthand. Listen, you were far too loud and she would swiftly stomp on the ceiling in disapproval. While walking around my abode singing that Sunday, I heard the familiar stomping on the ceiling from upstairs, signaling me to shut the fuck up. Typically, I would venture to creep around the house, quiet as a mouse, but I had had enough of her harassment and unreasonable sound demands. I wasn't screaming at the top of my lungs or playing loud music, and it was a Sunday in the damn afternoon. Performing gives me life and brings me joy, and I was excited about the show, so I grabbed a broom from my kitchen, and I lightly grabbed the ceiling back. Because an eye for an eye feels better than being able to see, or however that saying goes. 2 minutes later, I heard a knock on my front door, comparable to what you would hear if the FBI was raiding your house for a meth lab. I get the front door open, and there's my upstairs neighbor in all of her glory. It's our first time meeting face to face. She's a thin white woman, in her 30s, 5'1", disheveled, wearing a misbuttoned cotton shirt and stained sweats. She started screaming immediately. You've been singing all day and no one wants to hear it because your voice is terrible. Your neighbors hate you, you need to be quiet. Oh, okay, tell me how you really feel. So I was shocked, but I responded calmly and curiously as I had been taught to do as a survival mechanism of dealing with hostile white folks. Not that it guarantees protection or success. So I said, why are you banging on my door so aggressively? You could have come down here and asked me in a reasonable manner, but instead you came banging on my door like I killed a puppy. All of that went in one ear and out the other, and she declared, I'm a writer and I need peace and quiet to do my work, and you're fat. At that point, I blacked out, okay? Because as a proud member of the Big Titty Committee with a firm healthy body, I was gonna take some fat nonsense being thrown at me because she was hungry. I told her to go fuck off, go back upstairs, grab whatever bullshit she was working on because no one's gonna read it anyways. She was set off like a firecracker at that point and tried to force her way into my apartment. She looked about 90 pounds and allergic to carbs, but had the nerve economy like she was Ron Brucey. I slammed my front door so hard that the lock broke. She ran upstairs screaming insults, and I immediately started texting and calling every friend about this crazy story because I thought it was over. But it gets worse. 30 minutes later, did you cut? Uh-oh.
It's her spirit trying to.
Right on my last day of life. Let's see. Oh, it might be because of the battery or something.
Hold on, we got to well,
I can keep going. I love this. 30 minutes later, I got another knock at the door. I opened it to see 2 two cops,
Wow.
a black woman and a white guy. My heart started to race. Seeing the police confirmed my neighbor's true motivations. She was practicing what I call racist party tricks, demanding her needs be addressed at the expense of other people's humanity. Not as fun as the game of Twister when you contort yourself in a pretzel, but just as convoluted. Now these tricks are racist behaviors, like using the police as a threat against a black person and inconvenienced or feeling any level of discomfort. And I've experienced these same racist tricks while growing up in Utah. Yes, you heard that right, that's another story for another day. In Utah, for instance, we had one neighbor, a white woman who never introduced herself to us, who lived across the street and really didn't like our black family living there, but she had told other neighbors we lived nearby. One day on Christmas break during college, when I was coming home from the airport with my mom, and we turned onto our block, we saw a police car sitting in front of our house. My mom and I started to panic because we thought maybe somebody had broken in, or worse. The officer told us our neighbor reported a disturbance of the peace and loud music coming from our home. My mom asked in disbelief if he had just washed his drive up because no one had been home for hours. He sheepishly agreed and realized no one was home and would leave soon, but not before asking us millions of questions, as if we had done something wrong just for existing. I know the terror of being profiled by the police just for existing. In my hometown of Ogden, Utah, I've had my car pulled over, and not one, not two, but 4 cop cars pulled up behind me on a routine traffic stop for a blinking brake light. And they claim they need that much backup because I could have a gun in the car and be a gang member. Now I enjoy my sleep far too much to be a gang member. Do I look like gang material? Yeah. So when I opened my apartment door that Sunday afternoon in Astoria, my heart was beating out of my chest. As the officer said, "Sorry to disrupt your afternoon, ma'am. We got a call from your neighbor about a noise disruption." I explained my side, and as they got my story, I was surprised to see they were a bit calm and not accusatory at first, which helped me relax. They listened, and then they brought my neighbor back downstairs for us to talk. Now, the case of the body snatchers must have hit hard because my neighbor approached with her fakest, nicest smile, extending her hand and introducing herself as Tara.
Oh my God.
One of the cops asked us to rehash the issue, and Tara jumped at the chance to start her tirade about her disapproval of our nosy apartment and telling the cop my boyfriend and I make too much noise, and she's politely asked us to keep it down in the past, which was a goddamn lie. I responded that she was being unreasonable and had not asked us to calmly reduce noise before. So then she shouted, "Well, I think you should go to a music studio to sing because you're loud and you and your boyfriend have loud sex." The cop started chuckling. I've been demanding my entire life to be silent for other people's comfort, and I was sick and tired of it. I knew this was my moment to keep it real, so I said, "Well, shit, maybe if you had more sex, you wouldn't be such a miserable soul." Both cops burst out in laughter, and Tara, knowing she wasn't going to win, quickly left the scene defeated, probably for the first time in her life. The cops mentioned it was pretty obvious that she wasn't being reasonable and that my property didn't look disruptive, so I can go back to what I was doing and enjoy my day. It felt amazing to be heard and seen in the face of white discomfort, which typically demands silence. Although this exchange with my neighbor felt petty and is out of character for me.
Light is ready to pass.
Ooh, there it goes again, that's her spirit again.
Does successfully.
It's fine. It gave me hope to see a racist party trick like calling the police unnecessarily fail. Maybe these tricks will continue to die out and no longer be party favors passed on to the next generation, but a pastime we look back at in shock, in awe, and wonder at how entitlement and harm benefits no one in the long run. And my practicing paid off because I went on to kill my little Lauryn Hill performance at the open mic night a few days later. The only thing strumming their pain was my neighbor's ego, which felt pretty damn good. Thank you.
Test, test. That's on. That is on. The mic is on. The mic is on.
Well, here you go again, got me hating these antagonists, okay? So that's 3 of them now that I gotta pray about. We back. Just give us a second. E Coco, you are up next. Let's just switch these out. Give me a second. All right, make some noise for E Coco, y'all.
year, and then this year I'm an esthetician. I guess I'm one of those artists. So I'm gonna read 4 poems from my book. This first one, well, I'm not gonna give you any detail, I'm just gonna read it.
Go ahead.
This first poem is called Trauma Bond. Weep and clean common areas with your aunties together. You fill empty rooms with a sad son who paints the walls gray, then white. You find him caring with sepia eyes. Wrapped in blankets, you cannot be friends. This is fire. Water turned to ammonia. Cortado foam forms delicate lithography. When the sad son asks for names of enemies, you say, everyone loves him. You guys can clap. It's You don't have to. You can emote as you feel fit. This next poem is titled Landscape to Women, and it's an ekphrastic piece, so it is titled after the piece of artwork that I saw and wrote this poem about. So, Landscape to Women. I belong to red stilettos, Brooklyn sidewalks that etch lines into my calves, and horizons marred by concrete. Somewhere between bedroom and closet is a word for the walls and outlets that nurse my cell phone every night. I'm sorry. I forgot to ask my aunt if her daughters could braid your hair. Practical and strong. Your body hides bruises from those years your mother dragged you down 2 flights of stairs by the neck. How we were young, folding ourselves into best friend notebooks and homework finished after midnight. You belong to cracked heels, sandals fit for disciples, a driving town that calls itself a city and puffs its chest. Do your eyes still reflect smoky bar lighting on social media? I hear your brother died, and you honor him with a growing waistline. Somewhere between friend and sister is a word for the glamorous woman I have yet to become. Half-dressed for my bodega breakfast, eggs, salt and pepper, provolone on a roll, I stitch my last apology. Moss-colored fabric to drape your head and mine. This next poem is called That Was Very Deep. During the pandemic, many of us were alone. And when I first got out in the world and was just hearing group conversation, I just felt there's so much poetry in what people have to say. And so this poem is from a series of poems that I call Ripped from Conversation, where every line is like verbatim dialogue from group combo. So that was very deep. Be on guard. Let me know when you're ready to come on this side. This is what it feels like to live in the glow of April Aries. You guys understand us. I never said shit about pharmaceuticals. I never had to pay for the ticket. So I'm like, cool. It's too late for a car service. So much is moving. Everything is moving. We don't want anything that's not sex stuff. Do you mean yoga? Anything is possible. We live in New York. There's many lights and you're not in darkness. You give great Aries, so I'm just gonna compliment you. Your dress is dope, and also everything, pretty much legitimately everything is fire. Thanks, and my last poem is called Ode to Sweet Potatoes, and I feel like it relates to some of the other writing that was shared. Being African in the South, in a town where there are no other Africans, is challenging. You can ask some of the other people here more about their experiences that they shared too. So, Ode to Sweet Potatoes. dimpled roots the color of rust. I could eat you, served with a tiara of marshmallows or wrapped in aluminum foil. A personal trainer once said, "You are the best carbohydrates on earth." And I nodded, slurping his sap into my mouth. Some people call you yams. My father tells me yams are cassava roots. The days when missionaries made students fall on their knees in church pews. The disobedient fell on concrete corners until their joints bruised. Then they walked to the fields for hard harvest, and leathery patches of skin sprouted. Orange starch, butyrol and maple syrup with cranberries. Always the playful one in the passenger seat with your hand on catfish's thigh. Where you are, my mother is also singing hymns over a boiling pot of water. Oh, sweet potato, oh, stuffing mix, brown sugar, butter, and its half moons. Thanksgiving, always, close of memories, mealtimes, second son. Thank you guys, you did a great job.
So bigger too. I was like, oh, what are you talking about? That's a thing close. Got to hear, listen. I was listening closely, but I was interested. Thank you so much, Coco. I love to hear that there's some similar themes happening within all of our. We got Africans in the building. We love to hear that, as y'all should be, Black History Month. Next up, we have Takia Gray, and after that, we'll have Prince Poet.
Hi, everybody. Hi. So I engaged in a little bibliomancy when choosing what to read tonight. I've been working my way through Black Liturgies by author and poet Cole Arthur Riley. Black Liturgies, prayers, poems, and meditations for staying human. And so as I flipped open the pages to figure out what I'd be reading for tonight, I landed on the love chapter, which I thought was appropriate for February. And Black History Month, Black Heritage Month, Black Futures Month.
Correct.
I landed on For When You Long to Be Chosen. And so that's what Spirit wants me to share with everyone tonight. For when you long to be chosen, God who chooses us, the pain of feeling unwanted weighs on me. I want to be desired, to know that they think of me before they fall asleep, that they watch me and are waiting too. Help me to grieve the pain of being overlooked, of waiting for something that never comes. In my grief, protect those insecurities that gnaw at me in the wake of rejection. I confess that at times I allow my insecurities and unmet desires to become my deepest motivators. Parse out in me healthy desire from the poisonous ideals of a culture of abuse and narcissistic storytelling. Heal whatever formed me to believe that the only people worth wanting are the ones who don't want me back. Show me the beauty of true reciprocity. Expand my imagination for fulfillment, flourishing, and belonging, that when I am not chosen by who I desire, I would glimpse what love is already tangible to me. And as I honor my waiting, build up my sense of self, that I would no longer submit myself to shape-shifting to be loved in return. In all seasons, may I recall my own agency, that I have just as much voice and power to be an active participant in pursuing love. I can choose, and there is beauty in that. Amen. for loving the self. God of self-embrace, show us how you love yourself. Teach us to be present enough to the miracle of us that we could name it without deprecation. For stand in crowded rooms. Protect us from self-hatred, and so too protect us from the guilt we feel when we are unable to muster love for ourselves. Help us to remember that we have survived years under those who made us question our own faces, our own dignity, our beauty. We've had our bodies torn from us, evaluated by rubrics of whiteness and thinness. We've had our personalities analyzed and critiqued, showing us at every turn how we can be better or why funnier. Let us be proud that we are even praying these words right now, that we refuse to be held captive to the self-hatred this word feeds in us, that we will nourish love and gentleness and creativity and at last expand. We claim healing. We claim love. We are beautiful. Keep us from shrinking from it. Amen.
Amen.
This next piece is one of the author's meditations, so I invite you all to follow along with me to experience the meditation if you so desire. It's called Breathe, and there is an offering on the inhale and an offering on the exhale. So I will read, and feel free to breathe and repeat aloud if you so choose. Breathe. Inhale. Gratitude be my guide. Exhale. Love be my breath. Inhale. I wasn't made to be perfect. Exhale. I was made to be loved. Inhale. I am no burden. Exhale. I am gift. And I'll end with For Falling in Love. God who rises, this feels good. This feels terrifying. No one tells us that love feels so much like fear. Help us to love without being consumed. Awaken in us a sense of pleasure and play. When our palms sweat, when our bellies flicker, let us never demean the giddiness in us. And if we feel nothing at all, may this too be beautiful, knowing that we don't have to force what doesn't move us, and we don't have to feel our heart race in order to choose love. Would you grant us the wisdom of Toni Morrison, who wrote, I didn't fall in love, I rose in it. I saw you and made up my mind. Help us toward the kind of love that is decisive, a love that may include giddy beginnings, but is much more than affectionate whim. Let us choose love, and in return be chosen, again and always. Amen.
Thank you so much for reading that. That was beautiful. And y'all was breathing. I was hearing y'all. So, that was tapped in. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. That was good. I see y'all taking pictures of the book covers. Oh, y'all on it. Yes, yes, yes. Well, now we have reached our final speaker of the evening, who is courageous enough to be the only man on the program. So I want y'all to make some noise for Prince Poet. Clap it up.
How y'all doing?
Good.
I know we do poetry, but I do want to read a screenplay that I wrote in 2018, that's 6 years ago. So this piece is called Love Healers. So it was inspired by, I imagine, two people meeting, two souls, and they're twirling together into the sky, into the heavens. Imagine we were gods who forgot who we were. Imagine it seemed like the wind but felt like a cyclone, twirling in the Genesis and I pray no love Exodus, revealing us in Leviticus, humming the prophecies of Corinthians, singing the melodies of Psalms, a song of songs, a slow wine dance in Revelation 2 Lord's eyes playing, angel melodies, chanting mantras of the Veda, longer than a Torah scroll, written in the book of Jews, even Jesus couldn't deny like Judas denied him. A scholar with light listens to my pen, transcribes our story like the scripture in the Quran, praying by time, trying to the galaxy of Mecca, dying when I met you. Believing in Buddha like a Hindu Sikh, believing in reincarnation. A Rastafari past life, Haile Selassie, eclipsing heaven's moonlight, spiraling our souls like a double helix, becoming one. A cosmic synergy, an infectious vibe. The genesis of sapphire rhythm acts like the ocean tide of a blood moon. This isn't the end, but we are light. We are the origin, our story began. So this is the screenplay. So the title of this series is called the Anarch Series. You know what else I love? Looking to the eyes of a Khan before I take them down. Agent Brian, shine. You're 31 years old, graduated at the top of your class at the academy. You captured over 100 of the FBI's most wanted criminals in the world. Divorced with a son. Did I miss anything? You were abandoned as a baby. You grew up in an orphanage with that fool you called Tribe, aka your best friend. You run a cyber criminal organization known as the Shadow Syndicate with Santiago, Sandeep, Lee, and Aaliyah. You and your team have gotten away with over 24 cyber attacks until now. Allegedly. Remember, it's not what you know, it's what you see. Slick Rick. Slick Rick was one of the most cleverest criminals I've ever met. Check this. He ran this criminal organization like a ghost for over 100 years. Something you hear about but you can't see. This guy was so smooth, it took ages to even get a picture idea of him. Long story short, even the best slip up sometimes. Remember, the best way to trick a fool is to let the fool think he's tricking you. Well, good for you, honestly. You're the lead of your class. I'm sure chasing after all these bad men affected your personal life. The job is like a drug. After the first hit, you're hooked. Then you become a junkie. Everything around you fades away. I have this laser focus to get that next fix. Because I let my marriage suffer. I spend my energy chasing bad men like you. Everything is all relative. You see me as a bad guy because of that you neglected your woman. Gradually she begins to feel unloved. So she leaves you because you needed your fix more than you needed her. One of the keys to keeping a woman happy is to give her attention. Life is about balance. Let's start again, yeah. That's funny. My son told me the same thing the other day. What are you, some type of Buddhist? Full of life quotes? Like everything that you said is relative. You were abandoned as a child. You have to fend for yourself by any means necessary. It's a horrible way to live. So you always have to watch over your shoulder. But it doesn't mean those are your last days. I'll tell you this, the past cannot be changed, yet the future is in your power. You must not understand me. My apologies. Let me clarify. The way society is set up will breed people to be in the streets. The rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer. The pharmaceutical companies make sure to regulate their illness instead of the cure. Why cure the disease when there's more money in maintaining it? Now, supposedly, I'm the alleged leader of this so-called shadow syndicate. I would love chaos. I would love anarchy. I would love pandemonium. I would love flipping the foundation of the upper class upside down on its head. I would love shaking the ground they built their wealth on and giving it back who need it most. What are you? The new Robin Hood of the ghetto? That's right. And there's a left way to approach things. I understand what you're saying. Trust me, I do. But your method, no matter ethically validated it may seem, is still a crime in the eyes of the law. One has not only a legal, but a moral responsibility to obey just laws. Conversely, one has the moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws. I would agree with St. Augustine. An unjust law is no law at all. Yeah, a little bit of Malcolm in him. If someone was watching, one would think they were two best friends having a conversation in this debate. You know a bit of my story, and I know a bit of yours. You know, your reputation precedes itself. If I catch you in the act doing the next job, I won't be happy. But if I do, shine, I'm coming for you and your whole team. I like that. In another life, we could have been great friends. Together, we would have been a force to be reckoned with. It's unfortunate, our paths have already been chosen. Angel Ryan, I'm coming for you. Sorry. Angel Ryan, coming for me at 0 losses. That's the wrong number. You talk us off. Let me see how you walk the walk. And that's end of scene. Yes, so you can find me on IG, AYICF Prince, AYICF Prince. Thank you.
We've been to Ghana, we've been to Texas, we deal with cops. Where else did we go today? Where else we meditated, where we go? We went to Utah. We went to somebody's apartment. We was planning to travel the world, other cities.
And your birthday chicken for the world.
There was crispy chicken, burnt chicken. There was champagne on birthdays. Yes. Wow. That was. I feel full. I feel great. Not because this is my sign, but because like I heard from y'all. Like Phenomenal Woman is and my Angela's and yours. I'm just saying I never heard it perform like that. You changed the game for me. I just want you guys to clap it up for yourselves. I'm just so glad that I was able to, by the help of Frederick Flair, of course, by the help of God, of course, I'm just so glad to open up this space to you guys so you can let your books be written and talk them and share them with us. You guys all have gifts of lifting up your voice, and you were able to do it on today, on this last day of Black History Month, entering into Black Women's History Month. I do want to give a shout out again to Fête de Fleur. I gotta give a shout out to Bodega Lounge. Bodega Lounge is, yes, clap it up for Bodega Lounge. They have donated the speakers and the mics that we use on this evening. I walked into a bar on Ocean Avenue and the rest is history. Cat is amazing. If you ever need something to drink, go to Bodega Lounge on Ocean. What's the address, Cat? What's the address?
1170 Nostrand Avenue.
1170 Nostrand Avenue.
And Fenimore.
Yes, we love to see it. So shout out to Bodega Lounge, shout out to Spoken Word Entertainment for the troubleshooting on the second mic. Shout out to my bartender, Stacy. It's she enjoyed the drink. Shout out to Jolene. She's on the team. I know she gave y'all a warm welcome. I ain't gotta ask y'all. Shout out to Jolene. Shout out to Courtney on the photography. I hope you guys have a great night. Let's see what time it is. You ain't gotta go home for another 45 minutes, but I love you. Alright, so please connect with each other, share your works with each other, share your IGs, your emails if you want to connect. We got book writers in the room, we got people meditate, all types of things. Please connect with each other, come new and leave known. I'm gonna put up the music and make the connections, and like I said, I love you. Alright. All speakers, if you can just meet me in the front for a photo, please, that would be amazing.
I'm sorry.